In the 1700s, one of the businesses that was prominent throughout London was silk weaving. The most highly sought after silk in London was produced in an area called Spitalfields. Now, Spitalfields used to be a priory, but beginning in the late 1600s, under persecution from the French Catholic king, Protestants began to emigrate from France to England, and many of the finest craftsmen chose to settle in Spitalfields. The reason, by the way, they chose Spitalfields is it was outside of the then city limits, meaning that they were outside the control of the guilds that operated in London at that time. So these highly skilled craftsmen came over from France. There were goldsmiths, and importantly, there were silk weavers. The silk they could weave was more beautiful than anything that had been available in England before. And so by the early 1700s, thousands of looms were working away in Spitalfields to produce this beautiful silk. By the mid-1700s, however, several issues had begun to arise. First of all, it was clear that the market in England was a little variable. It was difficult to predict what color people wanted. Because the primary purchasers were royalty, every time someone died, they switched from the beautiful bright colors to wanting black silk. So tracking demand was a difficult challenge for those individuals. But more importantly, there began to be periods of time when England wasn't at war with France, and so imports directly from France began to compete with the silk that was woven here in England. Imagine, if you would, that you're a master weaver. So you control a network of individuals who make silk on your behalf. You take the orders, but then you farm the silk weaving out to apprentices, to journeymen, to people who weave it in their homes and bring it back to you. Let's think for a moment about the challenges that you face at that time. First of all, think about the nature of the work itself. It's not work, actually, that you care tremendously about the hours in which it's done. People are doing it on their own time, in their own homes, and your concern is on the quality of the work that is presented after the work is done. So you're not monitoring time or hours. You're not paying them based on hours. You pay them based on the quality of the product that they produce and bring back to you. That's an important element of that nature of work. Secondly, think about the workers themselves, and again, this fluctuating nature of demand. All of the journeymen and apprentices were essentially contract workers. The master weaver didn't guarantee them any source of income. And so the master weaver had great flexibility based on how his orders fluctuated over time to vary his labor costs. Another practice that we see becoming more prevalent today. And finally, what did that master weaver do about the fact that imports were starting to come in? Well, one of the things they did was to lobby. They went to their customers, the royalty, and asked them to put tariffs in place that would prevent the imports of silk from other areas. So many of the things that the silk weavers took on as a response to the conditions they faced, contingent workforce, measuring around what I would call task, not time, are practices that in many parts of our business world today have great applicability.